Hello everyone and welcome to Sarthi classes. In the previous video of real numbers, we have studied what is Euclid's division lemma, then we studied what is Euclid's division algorithm, and today we are going to study what is fundamental theorem of arithmetic. Okay, so before understanding fundamental theorem of arithmetic, we need to look at some other facts. You must know that if we classify integers, we can classify it into negative integers and whole numbers. What are whole numbers? Numbers or integers whose value ranges from 0 to infinity are called whole numbers. Now, whole numbers can be classified or can be broken down into two parts. The first part is 0 and the other part is natural numbers. Now, the set of these natural numbers that ranges from 1 to infinity is also called positive integers. Okay, so if we classify integers into two segments, we shall not divide it as positive integers and negative integers, because there is an entity in between which is neither positive nor negative, that is 0. It is neither positive nor negative. Okay, so whenever we talk of any positive integer, we are actually talking about natural numbers. Okay, now if we classify positive integers, then we can say that it is broken down into three parts. All positive integers can be broken down into three parts, that is 1, prime numbers and composite numbers. Okay, now positive integers ranges from 1 up to infinity. Now look very carefully. We know that 1 is neither a prime number nor a composite number. What are prime numbers? The prime numbers are numbers which are not divisible by any other number other than 1 in itself. So the numbers must be divided by 1 in itself only. Now, so we leave this 1 out. Okay, it is neither prime nor composite. The smallest prime number is 2. So here it is prime number. This 3 is also a prime number. If we look at this 4, then this 4 is divided by 2. Okay, then it is a composite number. This 5 is again a prime number. This 6 is divisible by both 2 and 3, so it is also a composite number. This 7 is again a prime number. This 8 is again a composite number. This 9 is again a composite number. This 10 is again a composite number. Then the next number 11 will be a prime number. Okay, so what matters is after 1, every number is either prime or composite. The smallest prime number is 2. The smallest composite number we can see here is 4. We can also see here that the prime numbers, all prime numbers are odd integers. Okay, the only even prime number is 2. So we can write here 2 is the only even prime number. So you must always remember that 2 is the smallest prime number and it is the only even prime number. Okay, so now keeping all these facts in mind, we shall start fundamental theorem of arithmetic. So first take a look at the statement of fundamental theorem of arithmetic. Now see, the statement here means that if I take a composite number, let the composite number be 6. Okay, so I can write it as the product of two prime numbers. Okay, the prime numbers are 2 and 3. If I multiply 2 and 3, then the result will be 6. So any composite number can be written as the product of prime numbers. It can be written as a product of prime numbers. such that this prime factorization is unique. This prime factorization is unique. It means that 2 times 3 will always be 6. It is not possible that 2 times 3 will be equals to 7, or that 6 can have any other prime factorization. I cannot get 6 by multiplying any other set of prime numbers, okay, as except the order in which they occur. It means that I can replace this the places of 2 and 3 here. I can also write it down, 3 into 2 equals to 6. So the order in which the prime number occur can change, but the set of prime numbers that compose the composite number cannot change, okay. So we can write that if a is any composite number and p1, p2, p3 dot 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 up to pk are prime numbers, then a equals to p1, p2, p3 up to pk, okay. So the prime factorization is unique for any composite number, okay. Now we will do some numericals on fundamental theorem of arithmetic. Now look, the problems on fundamental theorem of arithmetic are based upon concepts, based upon common sense rather than formulas. Now if you look at this problem, we need to prove that there cannot exist any natural number for which 4 power n ends with the digit 0. Here this n is natural number, so we here what is written, that power of 4 cannot hold any value for which the value of 4 power n will be 0. Now how can a digit end with 0? How will we know that in any number the last digit is 0? What was the condition that 120 was satisfying such that it has the digit 0 and 121 does not? Okay, so let us do the prime factorization of both these numbers. If I do the prime factorization of 120, first we will start with the smallest prime number, that is 2. So we divide 120 by 2, we get 60. Again dividing by 2, we get 30. Again dividing by 2, we get 15. Then we can divide it by 3. Then we will get 5. And then we will dividing by it by 5, we can get 1. So the prime factorization of 120 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. Okay. Now we shall do the prime factorization of 121. 121 is divisible by 11 only. Dividing it by 11, we get 11. Then again dividing by 11, we get 1. So 121 equals to 11 times 11. Okay. Now we see that in the prime factorization of 120, the factors are 2, 3 and 5. And in the prime factorization of 121, the only digits are 11. Okay. So we can see that there must be something in digits 2, 3 and 5 that makes a number divisible, a number terminate by 10, okay, with the digit 0. Now let us take some other example. For instance, let us take 20. Okay, if I write down the prime factorization of 20, what it will be? First we will divide it by 2, we get 10. Then dividing by 2, we get 5. Then dividing by 5, we get 1. So the prime factorization of 20 is 2 times 2 times 5. Now we see, I stated that there in this problem the digits 2, 3 and 5 must have something special such that the prime factor such that the number 120 terminated with the digit 0. But 20 also terminates with the digit 0. So what does what is the similarity between 120 and 20? The similarity between 120 and 20 is that they both contain a pair of 2 and 5. It means any number whose prime factorization contains both 2 and 5 will always terminate with the digit 0. Okay. And the number of zeros in that number will be equal to the number of pairs of 2 and 5 formed in the prime factorization of this number. For instance, in this problem, the pairs is 1. So it has only 1 0. If I change the problem, let us take 2 into 5 into 2 into 5. Okay. In this question, we can see that 2 pairs are formed and the number will be 10 into 10, that is 100. So it is the prime factorization of 100. And we know that in the prime factorization of, in 100, there are two zeros. Okay. So the condition that a number must satisfy for it to end with the digit 0 is that its prime factorization must contain the digits 2 and 5. Okay. Now, what we will write in the exam? First, we will write the 4 power n according to the fundamental theorem of arithmetic, that is as a product of prime numbers. Okay. Now 4 power n can be written as 2 power n into 2 power n. Okay. Either you can do this or you can do this. Okay. Both these methods are right. We can write 4s2 square and then we know the property that a power m whole power n equals to a power mn. So you can use both methods. Now we can see that in the prime factorization of 4 power n, we have the digit 2, but we do not have the digit 5. Okay. So the prime factorization of 4 power n does not contain the powers of 5. Hence 4 power n cannot terminate with the digit 0 for any value of n. Okay. So we will write, since prime factorization of 4 power n does not contain 5, hence 4 power n cannot terminate with the digit 0 for any natural value of n. Okay. Let us move to some more questions. Now take a look at this problem. Here we need to prove that this term and this term, they are both composite numbers. Okay. So just take a look at them one by one. First we have 7 times 11 times 13 plus 13. Okay. Here 7, 11, 13. All three numbers are prime numbers. But the given expression is composite. We should remember that the sum of two odd numbers is always an even number. For example, if we add 5 and 3, the result is 8, which is an even number. Okay. And all even numbers, okay, every even number except 2 is a composite number. Okay. I stated that in the beginning of this video that 2 is the only even prime number. Rest all even numbers are composite numbers. Okay. So now, if we take 13 common from this part and this part. Okay. If we take 13 common, what do we get? From here we get 17 times 11 and from here we will get 1. Okay. It is written 13. 13 means 13 ones are. 13 ones are is 13. So if we take 13 common, we will get 1. Okay. Solving this expression, we even not need to solve the expression, because we can see that this number is multiplied by 13. So clearly the expression will not be a prime number because it is divisible by 13. But in either case, we can solve this. Now 7 times 11 is 77 plus 1, that is 13 times 78. Okay, so the given expression is divisible by both 13 and 78. So it is not a prime number. Now let us move to the another part. 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 plus 5. We can see that it is 5 here and here. So we can take 5 common from both parts. So we get 5 from here. So we'll get 7 into 6 into 4 into 3 into 2. Okay. Into 1 is nothing. Plus, if we take 5 common, we will get 1 from here. Again, we can see that given expression is divisible by 5. So clearly, it is a composite number. Now, what we will get? We will get 7 6 are 42 into 12 plus 1. Okay. So we will get 12 2 is 24, we carry 2, 12 4 is 48, 48 504 and plus 1. So we will get 5 times 505. Okay. So the given expression is divisible by 5 and 505. It is also divisible by 101. There will be many more numbers by which the number will be divisible. Okay. So both these expressions are composite. They are not prime. Let us move to another question. Now look, we need to find the LCM and HCF of 90 and 144. We have studied how to find the HCF of two numbers in the second video, that was Euclid's division algorithm, and we know that how to find LCM from classes 5th, 6th, 7th. Okay. Now we need to use prime factorization method instead of Euclid division algorithm to find the HCF, and we don't know how to find the LCM by any other method except prime factorization method. So what we will do, first we will find the prime factorization of 90 and 144 anywhere in your notebook or in your rough copy. Okay. So if I divide 90 by 2, I get 45. 45 is divisible by 3 15 times. Then 15 is divisible by 3 5 times. Then 5 is divisible by 5 only. Okay. So I get the prime factorization of 90 as 2 times 3 square times 5. Okay. And if I find the prime factorization of 144, first it will be divisible by 2. So it is 2 times 72. Again this is divisible by 2 36 times. Again this is divisible by 2 18 times. Again this is divisible by 2 9 times. Then I will divide it by 3 and again I will divide it by 3. So the prime factorization of 144 will be 1 2 3 4. So 2 power 4 times 3 square. Okay. Now what you need to do, you need to draw two tables for the LCM and for HCF. Okay. For LCM, what you will write? You will write here factors, and in the next column you will write highest power. Okay. And you will draw a table like this. For HCF, what you will do, you will write common factors. Okay. Instead of factors, you will write common factors. And instead of highest power, you will write lowest power. And again, you will draw a table. Okay. Now, you will, in case of LCM, you will list all factors that appear in the prime factorization of 90 or 144. So the prime numbers that appeared was 2, 3 and 5. Okay, so I will write 2, I will write 3 and I will write 5. Now we see that the highest power of 2 was 4. The highest power of 3 in both cases was same, that is 2. The highest power of 5 was 1. Okay. In the case of HCF, what we will do, we will list out the common factors, that is the numbers which appeared in the prime factorization of both numbers, that is 90 and 144. So the prime numbers that appeared in the prime factorization of both numbers were 2 and 3 only. Okay, so we will list 2 and 3 because 5 appeared in the prime factorization of 90 but not in 144. Okay, now the lowest power of 2 is, here the power is 4, here the power is 1. So the lowest power is 1, and in both cases the power of 3 is 2. So here also the power will be 2. Okay, now the LCM of these numbers will be equals to, we will put the powers on the factors and multiply all the 3 factors. Okay, so the LCM will be 2 power 4 times 3 power 2 times 5 power 1. Okay, so the LCM will be 2 power 4 is 16, 3 power 2 is 9 and it is 5. Okay, 16 9s are is 144 and into 5. If you multiply 144 and 5, what do we get? We get 720. Okay. Now, to find the HCF, we will do the exactly same thing. What we will do? We will write 2 power 1 into 3 power 2. That is 2 times 9, which will be equal to 18. So the HCF of 90 and 144 is 18 and the LCM of 90 and 144 is 720. What does HCF and LCM means? You need to know that. HCF means 18 will divide both 90 and 144. Okay, 90 and 144 will be exactly divisible by 18. And what does LCM mean? LCM means that 90 and 144 will exactly divide 720. Okay, this 720 will be exactly divisible by 90 and 144. Okay, now let us move to another question. Now look this problem. I have also discussed this problem in the previous video where I said that we will study a question based upon LCM, in which what happens is there is a circular path. Okay, and there are two runners, that is Priya and Ravish. Okay, they both start at the same time. Okay, at time equal to 0, what happens is both Priya and Ravish were at the same starting point. Okay, now Ravish takes 12 minutes to complete the revolution of this round. Okay, and Priya takes 18 minutes to complete one revolution of this field. Okay, now look, after 12 minutes, what will happen? Ravish would have completed one revolution of this circular park because he takes 12 minutes for one revolution, and Priya would have completed 2/3 of the revolution. Okay, so after time equals to 12, what would happen? Ravish will again be here and Priya would be like here. Okay, then after time equals to 24 minutes, what will happen? Okay, first we will look at time equal to 18 minutes. After time 18 minutes, what will happen? Now after 18 minutes, Priya will be again at the starting point. Okay, because Priya takes 18 minutes to complete one revolution. So Priya will again be here, having completed one revolution, and Ravish, who completed the revolution 6 minutes ago at time equal to 12, would have again completed half of the revolution. So Ravish would be here. Then we will look at the case after time equals to 24 minutes. Then at time 24 minutes, what will happen? That Ravish will again come at here, and Priya, who just completed one complete revolution here, would have completed 1/3 of the revolution again. Okay, so she would be here. I hope you are understanding this very well. Then what will happen? That at time equals to 36. Okay, so देखो, look here. What was the necessary condition that Ravish completed the revolution here? He take 12 minutes. Then at time equals to 12, the Ravish was at the starting position. Okay, and the multiple of 12 is 24. Then we saw that at time equal to 24, Ravish was again at the starting position. Okay, so Ravish will be at the starting position at all multiples of 12. Okay, and Priya was at the starting point at time equal to 0 and at time equals to 18. So just like Ravish, Priya will also be at the starting position at the multiples of the time which she takes to complete one revolution, that is 18 minutes. Okay, so Priya will be at the starting point again after next 18 minutes, then after next 18 minutes, so she will be the starting position at the multiples of 18. Okay, so she will be at the starting position at the multiple of 18. The next multiple of 18 is 36. Okay, so Priya will be at the starting position, but 36 is also a multiple of 12, because 12 3s is 36, and the time taken by Ravish to complete one revolution is 12 minutes. Okay, so Ravish will also be at the starting position. Okay, so Priya and Ravish will together be at the starting position after 36 minutes. They were together at time equal to 0 at the starting position, and they will be together at time equal to 36 at the starting position. Okay, now we can see 36. What is 36? 36 is the number which is completely divisible by both 12 and 18. So by common sense we know that 36 is the LCM of 12 and 18. So to solve this problem, what we needed to do was to find the LCM of the time taken by both athletes to complete one revolution. Okay, so we will write time taken by Ravish to complete one round is 12 minutes, and time taken by Priya to complete one round is 18 minutes. Time taken by them to meet again at the starting position equals to LCM of 12 and 18. Okay, now how we will find the LCM? We will write here 12, and the prime factorization of 12 is 2 times 2 times 3, and then we will write 18. The prime factorization of 18 is 2 times 3 times 3. So we can write 2 square into 3 and 2 into 3 square. So LCM, what will be the LCM? We need to find write the highest power of all the factors. The factors are 2 and 3. The highest power of 2 is 2. So we will write 2 power 2. and the highest power of 3 is 2. So we will write 3 power 2. So the LCM will be 4 times 9, that is 36 minutes. So they will meet together at the starting point after 36 minutes. Now look at this problem. Here what do we have? We need to find the greatest number of 6 digit which is exactly divisible by the 3 digits, that is 24, 15 and 36. Okay. Now we know the greatest number of 6 digit would be, greatest number of 6 digit would be what? Write all the digits as 9. 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9. Okay. 9 is the smallest, it is the greatest digit. Okay. Now it must be divisible by 24, 15 and 36. If it is divisible by all the 3 digits, it means that it will be divisible by the LCM of all the 3 digits. Okay. Since the number is divisible by 24, 15 and 36, then it is divisible by LCM of 24, 15 and 36. Okay. So now if you find the LCM of 24, 15 and 36, what will we get? If I write the prime factorization of 24, what do I get? I get 2 times 2, that is 4, times 2 times 3. Okay. 2 2s are 4, 4 2s are 8 and 8 3s is 24. Then if I find the prime factorization of 15, I will get 3 times 5. Okay. And if I write the prime factorization of 36, I will get 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. Okay. 2 2s are 4 and 3 3s is 9. So 4 9s is 36. Okay. So I can write 2 power 3 times 3, 3 times 5 and 2 times 2 and 3 times 3. So the LCM would be, first we need to write all the factors in the prime factorization. So the numbers are 2, 3 and 5. So we will write 2, 3 and 5. Now the highest power of 2 is 3. The highest power of 3 is 2. And the highest power of 5 is 1. So what do we get? We get 8 times 9 times 5. So it is 40 times 9, that is equals to 360. Okay. Now if the greatest number of 6 digit is divisible by all the 3 digits, it will be divisible by 360. So how do we find the greatest number of 6 digit divisible by 360? The greatest number divisible by 360 will be less than or equal to this number, because it is the greatest number of 6 digit. So if I subtract the remainder when this number is divided by 360 from this number, then we will get the greatest number of 6 digit divisible by 360. Okay, for example, let us see. I have considered the greatest number of 1 digit, that is 9. Okay, and I need to find the greatest number of one single digit, that is divisible by 2. Okay, so what I will do is I will divide it by 2 and what will the remainder? 1, and I will subtract this remainder, that is equals to 1. So I will get 8, and we know that 8 is the greatest number divisible by 2. So we will do the same thing in this question. We will subtract the remainder that we get when 999 is divided by 360. Okay. Now we need to see that what is the remainder which will come after we divide this number. The remainder when we divide this number by 360 will be equals to 279. Okay. If we subtract 279 from this number, we will get 0 here, 2 here, 7 here, and 999. Okay. So 9,99,720 is the greatest number which is divisible by 24, 15, and 36. Okay. Let us do one more question. Now look, this is a very different question from the ones we just did. In this question, we are given HCF of two numbers and we have to find the LCM of those numbers. Now for this, you need to remember a formula. The formula is the product of two numbers, for example A and B, is always equals to the product of their HCF and their LCM. Okay. You need to remember this formula. Now, in the question, the value of A will be 306 and the value of B will be 657. So just put these values in the question. We will get the required result. Okay. Now, the LCM of the numbers would be 306 into 657 upon 9. Now 306 is divisible by 9. Now we need to multiply these terms. So upon multiplying these terms, what do we get? 657 times 34. 7 4 is 28. We carry 2. 4 5 is 20. 20 plus 2 is 22. We again carry 2. 6 4 is 24. 24 plus 2 is 26. Then 3 7 is 21. We carry 2. 3 5 is 15. 15 plus 2 17. Carry 1. 3 into 6 is 18. 18 plus 1 is 19. Here we write 8, 3 and 1 and 2 and 2. So the LCM of these two numbers, that is 306 and 657, comes to be 22338. Okay. So now we have successfully done fundamental theorem of arithmetic. I hope you must have understood this topic very well. If there are any more questions which you need to ask, then you mention them in the comment section. I will answer them right there. Okay. If you like the content of this video, then please like and share this video and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. God bless you all.